Hey guys, Gabe LP, Big Man Comics Live for what is today? Tuesday, March 25th. And we are working. This is page 69 of the Unstoppable Tyrus. So yeah, that's what we're up to today, doing more inks. I'm having a good time here at Big Man Comics HQ, so known as my house. But I hope you're all doing well. Get on in here, hit the like, hit the share, all that good stuff. And we'll get more done. I hope you're all having a great, exciting time. I got a funny one from yesterday. I recorded a video that's up now. I got a really nice box in the mail, some fan mail to my PO box. The link is in the description for that. I don't remember my PO box. It's Antonio someone said, "Good morning, Gabe and Chad." Hey, good morning, Antonio. And I opened the box. My wife sat there in the kitchen and filmed me. I made all these jokes. I opened the box, and I used a wireless mic with the little. So there's a little module or whatever that connects to the bottom of your iPhone, and then you wear the mic on your lapel, like you wear it on your collar. And I charged it and this and that, and recorded an 8-minute video, improv the whole thing. Let me turn this around so you can see my face better. And didn't have the mic on. So I had to re-record it, and I make fun of myself in the video about it. But those are just the kind of things, that happen in any kind of job and anything you're doing. But sometimes stuff like that, it's like, there's this complete locked out finality. Let's have a term here, like a junior college term. There's this locked out finality that we feel with computers, where, like, when a file gets deleted or something happens, and there's no way to recover it. You know what I mean? We've all had something like that or done something like that. And you're like, no, there's got to be a way I can recover it or go back or hit undo. And like, there's a thing where you can do where it's just, no, that's just kind of final on a computer. And I was searching online and asking an AI, hey, even though I used a wireless mic, is there another way to extract the audio? And it's like, no, the iPhone will prioritize whatever mic is in the jack. So that's the second version of that. And I re-recorded. It was fine, whatever. And Kara says, I just watched it. You're most welcome, Gabe, but we do have other brands in Michigan, but they need to be kept cold. Wasn't sure if I could send our pop Fago, so I left that out. Oh, we have Fago here. I go to a deli that Secretary Not Sure, it's another screen name, someone who's always in the chat here. He comes into this show sometimes. He's always on Wednesday nights. We're doing Miss Doubtfire tomorrow for the movie of the week. And I'm unsure if I'll like it. I haven't seen it. I think Robin Williams is a comedic genius. We'll see. But Secretary Not Sure mentioned Cecil's Deli, which I am a devotee of. I love Cecil's Deli. It's a butcher shop with like really expensive fine meats, prime beef, A5 Wagyu. They have it all there. They have this one small little freezer with like alligator meat or ostrich meat, like all kinds of bizarre meats in it too. But it's a not full on, it's a little grocery store, like the size of a big 7-Eleven, with all kinds of unique things that you could get. Expensive, barbecue sauces and mustards and spices and boutique like cookies and exotic, cheeses. And I don't drink, but they have wine, but they have a whole shelf of weird, unusual sodas. And my go-to there is like usually a nice deli sandwich, a nice deli salad, maybe some mac and cheese or deviled egg potato salad. And then I'll get a like a sarsaparilla or a root beer. But they have Fago on the shelf there. So I have seen Fago. And in fact, I just saw it there when I went 3-4 days ago. And I made a mental note of, they have Fago. I've heard of that. That the juggalos and the juggalettes, the people who are fans of the Insane Clown Posse, like rap rock group, they love to drink Fago for some reason. I don't know what the story is there. Fago's delicious, especially their root beer. That's what they had on the shelf. It was Fago root beer in a brown glass bottle. And I thought about it because I don't drink a lot of soda because, it makes you fat, too much sugar. But I do love a root beer. Root beer is delish. My wife had a friend from college, Camille. She lived in Caen. That is where they have the famous movie festival. And Camille was weirded out by root beer. I guess that's not common in Europe, or maybe it's just not a thing. I'm sure with globalization and all that, they have everything we have, but, I'm sure some of it's rare. One that's weird to me, I talked to Matthew Marsden about this and other British people I know, is biscuits and gravy. It weirds them out because a biscuit is a cookie in England, And then they try biscuits and gravy here, and they're like, that is the greatest food of all time. Biscuits and gravy is a favorite in our house. But again, that's fattening food, man, because that is just carbs on carbs on carbs. But it is delish. There are a few things better than biscuits and gravy for breakfast, right? We always end up talking food around here. We sure do. But yeah, I've yet to try I have yet to sup the sweet nectar of Faygo. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. But check out that video opening a box of treats from the frozen north of Detroit, Michigan, the Motor City. Used to be the Paris of the West, and now it's all degenerate and destroyed and ugly in a lot of parts. So I guess it's like Paris, because Paris is like destroyed and ugly. So it's still the Paris of the West. Sorry, Kara. Sorry to crap on Detroit. That's just a good joke, I thought. I think I read that joke online or something. I don't feel like that's my joke. I feel like I read that online somewhere. I think I read that on Twitter yesterday, actually, someone making that joke. Anyway, the snacks were good. My granddaughter, you'll be happy to know, Kara, that Big Baby loved those butter braid pretzels. She wanted them for breakfast this morning, and I gave her an absolute no. I say thee nay. I say thee nay, fair maiden. You may not have butter pretzels for breakfast. No. You may have fried potatoes, fried in real pork fat, not in weird seed oils, and bacon itself. Yes, that's what you can have. And huevos is what she calls eggs, because we try to talk to her in Spanish, and an egg in Spanish is a huevo. So she says huevos is what she wants. Hey, what's up, people? What's up, Gabe, Jim, Bob? What's up with you, buddy? Antonio 707 bacon pancakes. That sounds good. You know, I'm kind of a pancake purist. I'm like, nah, I just want the wheat pancake with the butter and maple syrup. And I want real butter and I want real maple syrup and nothing else. But I tried a wheat germ and blueberry pancake at this breakfast restaurant, the Jericho Green, my good friend, co-host of the Wednesday Night Show. He recommended it to me, and I was a little unsure, like, I don't like fruit and all this stuff in my pancakes. I just want them normal. And oh boy, was that good. Real, organic blueberries, man, because we're in the Monterey Bay area. And then wheat germ, which has this nice gritty texture to it. It's very nice. So I tried that. I remember when I was little, Detroit was actually founded by the French. Well, sure, Detroit, right? Look at the spelling. Whenever you see an O and an I in a word, that is Francais, right? That's the wa sound. So like a king, if you say king in French, that's R-O-I, which is not Roy, it's wa. Le wa. That is how you say the king. And I saw a really funny video about the spelling and pronunciation of eyes on Twitter this morning, and I sent it to my friend Philippe. He's a Frenchie that I know by way of making comics, and he lives in Paris. He lives in Paris, and he's very French. And he thought it was hilarious. Maybe I'll show it to you guys. Did you get the ones with the ricotta cheese? No, I got the pancakes. It was blueberry and wheat germ, and then I put maple syrup and butter on it. So, and Heather says feta. That's the second time you said feta in a pancake. My wife loves feta cheese. I like feta cheese, but I'm always having it like with a Greek salad or something like that. Or we made it with bacon and Brussels sprouts and balsamic vinegar. I don't know. Have you tried honey with pancakes or waffles? No, but that sounds like an excellent idea. I remember when I was a kid, my mother made my lunch. She was a great mom about all the housekeeping and the cooking and the cleaning. And I got a lunch packed every day until I got out of high school. And it wasn't garbage. It was like sit there, make a sandwich, make things. Like it was, food. And I remember we would have peanut butter and jelly a lot. We would have lunch meat sometimes, but more rarely the lunch meat. Usually like a peanut butter and jelly. But sometimes we have peanut butter and honey. And you're a kid. You don't buy any of the groceries. So you don't know what they cost. I did not know honey was a premium item. I didn't know it was expensive until I started buying my own honey, which I love. So we had peanut butter and honey sandwiches a few times. And, she was a single mom at points. And we got like free school lunches too. We qualified for that, but we would eat the packed lunch because it was better. But I remember like having the peanut butter and honey sandwich and feeling kind of bad, like, oh, we were eating that because we were poor at the time is what I thought. I didn't know that it wasn't poor food. I just assumed that we couldn't afford jelly, so we had honey instead. So that was like a mistake I made as a kid. So, I'll show you guys this French thing because it's too funny. Hold on. If you know anything about the French language, I thought it was very funny. My wife doesn't speak French, but I showed it to her and she laughed. So we shall see. But you know, the way this guy sells it is hilarious. Hold on, let me bring this up here. And I got to make sure I have the sound on. Hold on. You'll say you'll laugh.
How do you see?
Okay. We bring it up. Present. Share screen. I have to go into Chrome now. Safari. You know what? Fuck you. Jeez. Sometimes to share audio, share a tab instead. Oh my God. Okay. Well, I don't know why this fights you on stuff like that, but no worry. We got it. We got it right here. Okay, here he is. Okay, so. Oh, goodness gracious me. Okay, enough stalling and boring you with this. Okay, here we go. We're gonna watch this. This is hilarious to me. Listen up, watch, listen, and read the.
How do you say I in French?
I.
How do you spell it?
O-E-I-A.
So if I want to say the eyes, I just put an S at the end, right?
No.
No?
Y-E-U-X. Les yeux.
But you just changed all the letters.
That's French.
If you speak any French, you know anyone that does. That's very funny. And even if you don't, but yes, eyes in French is les yeux. Je parle français. J'ai été français pour 3 ans quand je vais à l'école. I don't know why I took French. I know why. I didn't have enough parental direction about this concept. I just was a freshman in high school and you had to pick a language. And my brother had taken French his freshman year, I think. No, he took Spanish because we were in the same class. It was the only time in high school I had the same class as my brother, who's a year older. I never had another class with him because, you know, he's a year older and typically you're not in the same class. But he took first year French with me when I was a freshman, and it was kind of his idea, and I just went along with it. And I regret it deeply porque yo quiero hablar español. I want to speak Spanish fully. You know, and estoy aprendiendo español con mi esposa, pero yo hablo español poquito como un güero tonto. You know, like, so I speak Spanish. My mom's side of the family is Mexican, and I mean, they're very American in culture, but you know, they have a lot of Mexican heritage. My grandfather and my grandmother, my mom's parents, and I don't speak Spanish fluently the way I want to, and I hate that because I go to Tijuana, which is just, you know, 20 miles from my home. And it's awesome to go there. And I want to go to the museums and learn about the culture and all this. But I just want to be able to order a taco and not sound like a dumbass. You know, and it's like, me das un libro de queso fresco, right? So my accent is terrible. So what I just said there is I want a pound of queso fresco, right? I'm going to the Mexican deli and I'll do that. But it's like, come on, dude, you sound, doesn't sound great, you know. So I do wish I had taken it. Kara says she took French in high school. It just didn't stick. Oh, Jim Bob, dude, my wife is, of course, fluent in French natively, so I'm learning it. And yeah. Melodic Memphis said, yo quiero taco. Me gusta tacos. Son sabrosos. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm saying son. I think S-O-N is like they are. Delicious. I think I said that correctly. So, but you know what I found out? There was an author, a famous author, and I forget his name, but I was just watching a video about, I think about writing or something like that, or maybe it was just a clip on Twitter, but it was an author, and he was an award-winning famous author years ago. I don't know if this is like the 50s or 60s. And he was a native Spanish speaker. I think he was from Spain, and he learned English. And he said he loved the English language once he learned it. And what he didn't know, and what I didn't know that explains so much to me about why it was hard to learn Spanish, harder than I thought, is because the Spanish language has like 20% less words than English. What you guys don't know about Spanish, I'm going to try to explain this. If you're not a Spanish speaker, or you're not around people that speak it, they will use one word for like vastly different things. And we do that in English. You'll have slang and this and that, but that's not what I'm saying. It's like them having 20% less words in English. they don't have enough words basically to like go one for one translation. So when you're trying to, because I'll ask my wife, well, what does that mean? She's like, well, it kind of means blah blah blah, and then I go, yeah, but that's not what those words mean in the dictionary. It's like that's quite literally not what that means in Spanish translated directly to English. So because it has quite a few less words, it makes it harder because you're thinking in English and you're like, the dog is red and jumped, blah, blah. You're like trying to translate it one for one. And that's not really how you're going to learn it because that's not how they speak, and that's not something I knew until like 2 years ago when I saw this Spanish author speaking. But once I heard him say that, it unlocked something for me like, oh, okay, well, quit looking at it that way. Quit looking at it as just like, okay, it's just English, but you need a decoder ring. Like that's not what it is. If you're wondering what these abstract shapes I'm drawing are, I'm inking the inside of a dark cave right now. This is the Unstoppable Tyrus, page 69. So Vernon Hampton says, my wife is Venezuelan and they have 1,000 uses for bania. Yeah, they'll just because like mucho is like a lot, but it's not very. We'd say he's very big, right? They wouldn't say, he's but they'll say bien, bien, which means good, right? So it's bien rico. It's like, so rico would be like rich, but that means like tasty. So bien sabroso, that's like also tasty, like savory. So you're saying it's good savory. You're not saying it's mucho sabroso, like very. So like that's so weird to me that they do that. That bien will replace vieri. Bien meaning good will replace vieri. Very. And there's just countless examples like that in Spanish. And I joke with my wife. It's like, well, it means automatic transmission, but it also means your aunt's cousin. And it's like some of the stuff in Spanish is so unrelated, the multiple uses of the words. It's like not even in the same concept, and the word is used for just different things like that. So that is once you know that about Spanish, that helps a lot with your concept of what's going on, because trying to translate it one for one for English is not going to work. And that, that kind of was a tough thing for me to work with when I didn't know. Antonio says egg ball head. What do we my lady is part Mexican. I speak more Spanish than her, which isn't much. Jeez. Henry Thrun says, hail. Say hail back to you, brother. Since we're on the air, I'll ink a character which is more interesting than inking shadows on rocks. I'll work on the character more on this Tyrus here. They are going into a dark cave. Right? See if that hasn't been done before in a story. Going into the dark cave is really a primal concept for human beings, right? Probably a lot of humans living in caves in ancient times and, at least seeking shelter there in the rain, or if they're on the run from large creatures or warlike bandits, But there's something about the cave that is very, very relatable to human beings. It's interesting. The cave is mysterious. The cave is dangerous. The cave could hold wonders. It could hold treasures. Interesting. Sorry, I'm getting very Joseph Campbell about it right now. If you don't know who Joseph Campbell is, look it up. He's a brilliant writer. He's a brilliant writer who wrote a lot of stuff about writing, and about the psychology of writing. But his greatest works are The Hero's Journey and The Hero with 1,000 Faces. That stuff there. And anyone who wants to write should study Joseph Campbell for sure. There's many authors you should study. You should mostly just read stuff you like, and then try to emulate it. It's no different than me drawing. It's like when you're a kid, you're looking at drawings you love, you're tracing drawings you love, and trying to like figure out what they did there. And but yeah, you should definitely. Joseph Campbell is one of the legends for a reason. He kind of identified the human story of the hero's journey. He kind of figured that out. And I have a theory about the hero's journey that it was not invented by human beings, it was observed. That the hero's journey is the concept of becoming a man. That's what it is. And since that's a universal thing, we observe how it works and how it happens. So do you guys want to know the hero's journey? Do you want me to turn this into a junior college writing class? No, we'll look at the chat. Let's see. Kara says, sometimes I think about doing a graphic novel for things in U.S. history. I could write it, but not draw it. Well, okay, so do it. I'll be a little tough love on you there, Kara. I don't like hearing about people saying they're thinking about something. Do it. There's nothing stopping you. Do it. There's nothing stopping you. Don't think about it. Just do it, And I'll tell you this about life. Thinking causes anxiety. Action cures it. That is how it works. Think of someone standing at the top of a tower to bungee jump. When are they going to be the most scared? The longer they wait, the longer they stand there and stand there and stand there, they're going to get more and more and more anxious to the point of paralysis par analysis, as they say en français. Paralysis through analysis, right? If you overthink it, well, then good luck. Oh, that should be a shadow in there, and that's the thumb on top, right? Yeah, don't overthink things. Just do them. It turns out, as the great people in the history books, the men and women that make history, most entrepreneurs are not given money or privilege by their father. Most millionaires are entrepreneurs that, believe it or not, started off poor. Jeff Bezos in one room starting Amazon and all that. But even a guy like me with my own publishing and all that, I was very poor when I got married. Like, I worked at Toys R Us for $8 an hour. That's what I did on my marriage certificate. It says like something about working at retail or whatever. My wife was a waitress. Here we are now. We done quite well. I'm not going to get braggy or get too personal, but I own a home in San Diego. That in itself, that takes a lot. It takes a lot to do that. So you can come from nothing or meager or very hard circumstances, and in America you can just do what you want and no one can tell you shit about it. So don't say you want to do this or you want to write a book or you want to open a restaurant, you want to. You're getting older every day. So, because what I have found about people who really want to do things, they do them. Like there's a joke meme I see on the internet every once in a while, and it says, a crackhead doesn't have a job and he's broke, yet somehow finds a couple $100 a day to buy drugs. If you want to do something, you can, So don't let anyone discourage you, because all the you can't and all the self-doubt, that's like all a psychological trick and mismanaged anxiety on our parts as human beings. That's all that is. That's all that is a lie to protect something else. It's usually probably a fear of failure. That what if you do it and they all laugh? Who cares? What if you do it and they all cheer equally? Who cares? You shouldn't care about any of it because it doesn't matter what anyone thinks of you. It really doesn't. I can't stress that enough. It just doesn't matter what anyone thinks of you. It never will. It never will. Because what people think is their own bias. It's imperfect and it's often incorrect. And it's definitely irrelevant what people think of you. So what if they all laugh? What if you write a book and nobody buys it? Oh, well, you did more than most people. So that's good enough in my book. It's easy to not try. That's what most people do. It's confounding to me that most people don't try, and then they're pissed about their life. They hate their job, they hate their relationship, they hate this, they hate that, but they don't do anything about it. That's a little confusing to me. Let me look at the chat. Let me catch up here. Man, you guys are really chatting away here. Sorry, I didn't see it going so fast. Okay, so Kara said she wanted to do a graphic novel. Oh, Antonio was talking. Oh, back to talking about Spanish. In Spanish, words having so many meanings for the same word. He's saying egg ball head is hueva, just referring to one word, many meanings. Oh, okay. I've started a comic script. Congratulations. Keep going. Do as much as you can every day, even if that's one paragraph. Just keep doing it. It'll build. Where should I start though? How do you write a story? You write the Write down on a napkin, what is my story about? What's the point? Think about a joke. Why did the chicken cross the road? To get to the other side. So to get to the other side is the most important part of that. But you do need the setup of why did the chicken cross the road, right? So you have to think, what do I want to say? What's important to me, Kara? What do I want to say? What is to get to the other side? What is my punchline? What is my point? Do I want to say something about America? Do I want to say something about food? Do I want to say something about religion? Do I want to say something about why history and heritage is important? That's my point. That's my punchline. You start there. How do I get to Chicago? I look at a map and I go, there's Chicago. Then I drag my finger back across the map to San Diego, and that's how I get there. So what's your point? What's your destination? And then you go backwards from there. How do I get there? And then you go, how did other people get there? And say, well, some walked. That's crazy because San Diego's far. Some people rode the train. Some people flew. Some people drove. What can I afford? What can I do? Okay, well, maybe don't want to ride a train. Maybe I fly. That's faster, blah, blah, blah. You find what other people have already done that's worked, and you emulate that. Writing a novel, don't fall into the toolbox fallacy like I did. I'm not sure what you mean. Expand on that. How you doing, Gabe? I'm doing great. Rodrigo Alvar Cabeza de Vaca. He's the head of the cow. Cabeza de Vaca is head of the cow. Pick one story and make storyboards. Well, to make storyboards, you do have to have an ability to draw, and you don't have to draw well, but you have to have the ability to know what to draw, because there's how to draw. There's also what to draw. These drawings here, it's not just that I draw well, like, I draw a rock and the bushes and the entrance to this cave and all that, and then I draw them correctly. I had to, when you draw, you have to choose, I'm going to draw this. I'm going to draw it from this angle. I'm going to draw it from this lighting and all that, because all of that's going to carry the psychological and emotional weight of the story. So storyboards are about story, right? That's the operative word there. You're telling a story with pictures. And to tell a story with pictures, you need to be as simple as possible. Never draw one more line than you need to draw. Laymen think the details are the big shit because, it's skill. I got bad news for you on that. Details are a crutch. Details is where you go to hide when you don't know how to say it in less. Okay, so Shakespeare, the writer, the bard, he has a famous saying. It's my favorite quote of his. Brevity is the soul of wit. That's 5 words. Brevity is the soul of wit. 6 words. You could say that in another way. Use as few words as possible, because when you use too many, it goes on too long. It could get boring. You could also not make your point clearly. And then the audience wouldn't really understand what you want to say, and they might misinterpret it easily. He could have said that, and it's the same meaning, but it's not as pure. Brevity is the soul of wit, right? We want to be witty because witty's fun, and it ignites that dopamine hit for the audience, and that's when they get quality art. And drawings are the same way. When you put all kinds of superfluous details, you're hiding. You're afraid. You're intimidated. You don't think you can do it with less, and it's not as good for the reader, for the audience. They want to know that you know what you're doing here, and ultimately, in a scientific sense, the message is delivered more cleanly, more purely, more correctly to the audience with less information, if the information is more correct. It's that whole signal to noise ratio, right? When you're tuning a radio dial, for the old people out there that remember twisting a radio knob to find the local news channel, there's all the signal. Bzzz, no, the signals, is the radio station, and the noise is the bzzz and all that. And you don't want noise. You don't want all kinds of words and concepts and stories and plot threads and characters and all kinds of stuff in there. And they're well written and well drawn, and they're not part of the whole, right? You want to look at things in life from 40,000 feet when you're just a person just trying to strategize and figure out life. But definitely as an artist, look at things from 40,000 feet. What is the big picture? What is the point of what I'm saying? So, Kara, that's when you want to start writing. That's it. Vernon says he's an overthinker too. Well, stop it. Stop it. I think the modern hero's journey isn't in line with classic mythology. No one had to force King Arthur to be a hero. I disagree. I think if you go to the Epic of Gilgamesh, the oldest written thing that we know about, it follows the hero's journey. The hero's journey is not created by humans. It was observed by us. And the reason I'm certain that's true is because our brains are wired for patterns from birth. We don't learn patterns. It's innate, it's instinctual. And the hero's journey satisfies you and gives you dopamine because it's instinctual. You understand that you're a boy, and then everything changes, gets dangerous. You go on the journey, the call of the journey of the adventure, and you grow and change and you come back a hero. That's the hero's journey. And that quite literally, tribes, clans, people all over the world for all of human history who never spoke to each other, never met each other, never knew about each other because there was no technology, no mass transportation. They had that. Take the boys into the forest, take the boys into the jungle, take the boys into the savannah, take the boys into the swamp, take the boys where it's dangerous and slay the beast. That is a human, that all humans have always done that. Take the boys out on the riggers and go, fishing if you were island people, and kill the dangerous, shark or whatever. Like, this is a thing. If you're a Maasai warrior, take the boys into the veld and go kill a lion, right? This is a thing. If you're Native American, the boys go into the jungle and they go through all kinds of trials and, kill a warthog or whatever. This is a thing. And you're a little baby boy and you're with mommy and you're this and that and everything's easy and cool and safe. And then the men go, that's over. You're 12 now. You're coming with me. And that's the hero's journey. That's what it's simplifying. Kara says, how do I make storyboards? I went into that. Kara says she's considering getting an iPad. Need to do more research on them before I try and spend that kind of money. Yeah, if you're not doing serious stuff, you don't need an iPad. If you're typing words, I'd stay with the cheaper Microsoft-based pads. The iPads are thousands of dollars. They're a lot of money. Agreed, Gabe. While you are talking, I'm listening and working on character for an animated short film. Awesome. Yeah, just keep working, man. Do or do not. There is no try. Yoda. Right. Let's see. Don't forget about a horse-drawn carriage like the initial settlers. I forgot what that's about. Gabe, are you saying that George Martin, Game of Thrones author, is a bad writer, very descriptive, reference brevity is the sole wit? I'm not saying he's a bad writer. I think his writing is super high quality writing, super interesting. I would say it's bad because it's super immoral. He doesn't have good guys or bad guys. Everyone's a bad guy, and that's immoral. Because remember, as an artist, I believe if you have any sort of audience, you have a responsibility because you're influencing their life, whether you like it or not. What you write, draw, act, sing, whatever's an audience will go into the audience's brain. And the subconscious, this is scientifically proven fact, not some harebrained thing that I came up with. This is a scientific fact. The stuff you consume in media and entertainment will influence your opinions on life and reality. The short way to say that, you'll believe what you see in movies and TV. If the acting is good and the writing is good, and I mean quality, they know how to act, they know how to write. I don't mean morality. Then you'll believe it because your subconscious brain does not know the difference between reality and a television show. It's all, quote, really happening. This is why when a monster jumps on the TV screen, you jump because your subconscious brain goes, danger. It's not danger. It's a guy in a latex suit. It's a TV screen. Even if it were a real monster, it's a TV screen. The monster cannot come through the screen. Your subconscious brain doesn't know that. And everything else in the show is just like that. So when everyone's being a backstabbing bastard in Game of Thrones and they're all sleeping with each other and murdering each other and doing all this jockeying for position to win the crown, to be the king and sit on the throne, your brain is accepting that that's good behavior because it's well written and it's entertaining. This is why I'm always harping on filth in media, that you should not take it. And people think, well, I'm an adult now. I can no, it doesn't matter if you're 1,000 years old. Your brain doesn't know. That's why you shouldn't do stuff like that. That is why my all-time most hated movie is Deadpool, because the influence of immorality in that movie is just unacceptable to me for the reach it had. Am I saying it wasn't well acted? It wasn't funny. It wasn't blah, blah, blah. No, the quality is there. Those people are master artists. They know what they're doing. If it was shitty acting and special effects and a horrible and made no one laugh, well, it's no threat. But when it's horrible, immoral crap like that, yeah, it's a threat to the culture. And if you if you think I'm being the church lady from Saturday Night Live or whatever, okay, well, who was right? My mom that taught me this, 40 years ago, or the people said, what's the big deal? Look at the culture now. Look at the disgusting stuff they're trying to push on kids and the parades and the reading to them in libraries and all the who's to say what gender this and 5,000 pronouns and America sucks and, America last and illegal immigrants first. Where do you think all of that degeneracy comes from? It comes from ideas people have. Where do the ideas come from? They come from the media that people consume. I'm right about this. It's not a theory. It's been going on for, 70 years, whatever. McCarthy was right that the communists did invade Hollywood and they did invade America and the colleges and all that. McCarthy was right. And the Cold War was lost by America because the Cold War was not on a battlefield with weapons. The Cold War was in university classrooms and on your television and movie screens. That's where the Cold War was fought, and we lost. Now, it isn't over, but holy shit, it went way too far. And now Trump is the overcorrection, right? So, and I don't think he's an overcorrection, but you know what I mean? He's the reaction to it. But if you think you're like, oh, I'm grown now, I can watch whatever, you're kidding yourself. You'll hurt yourself no matter how old you are if you watch filth. It's just true. It just is. So let's see. Momsy said, man, you always cracking on Rob Liefeld. You said that Rob Liefeld had to be outrageous with Deadpool because he had no artistic talent. I disagree with that. I say Rob Liefeld has artistic talent. I don't think going back to early 90s. For those who don't know, Rob Liefeld was one of the hottest artists in like 1989 and into that early 90s comic book boom. For short history, remember the housing boom of the early 2000s 20 years ago, where houses were just going skyrocketing in value, or the tech boom of the late 90s, or any boom that happens. There was a comic book boom from like 88, 89 through the early 90s, where comic book artists were making more money than they make now 30 something years later, like orders of magnitude more. They were making millions of dollars. You didn't even have to be good at drawing. You didn't have to be famous. Just comic books, because a speculator market happened and all kinds of people were buying multiple copies of comics because they thought they were going to sell them for a lot of money. So, and Rob Liefeld, he caught that wave at like 18 years old. And his anatomy and stuff was about what an 18-year-old would be. Like, a lot of people shit on the guy, but dude, he was influential, man. I don't know him personally. I've talked to him twice, I think. I had talked to him about maybe coloring some stuff for him for his studio like 8 years ago. But I don't think we've talked besides that. He had me blocked on Twitter, and I think we only talked once on Facebook like years ago. But, maybe, these videos that I do live, they go out on Twitter. And I think he followed me on Twitter forever because I followed him, and we're all professional comic artists, so we follow each other. And my theory is he saw me say that I hate Deadpool with passion. Rob, if you saw that and that upset you, sorry, I'm never backing down from that. Congrats to you and your family. You made a ton of money on that. It's filth. Deadpool's filth. I'm never backing down from that. Okay, it's absolute filth. And yeah, no. It's trash. You saw the movie? Oh, you were probably in it in a cameo, right? I don't know if you were in it or not. It's filth, dude. Doesn't mean I hate you. Doesn't mean you have to block me on Twitter. How fucking weird. If you told me you hated what I was doing here, I wouldn't block you on Twitter, dude. It's weird. Let's see. Same reason Marilyn Manson has to be outrageous. He has nothing else to offer. Yeah, I never was into Marilyn Manson or anything like that, obviously. Let's see. Do you think we'll see another comic book boom from the big two? No. And it's not even the wokeness and all that that's destroyed Marvel and DC. I mean, that is what's destroyed it. But it's also the internet. They haven't seized on internet culture properly. And it's a weird thing to watch. The weirdest ones to me are companies like Radio Shack and Fry's Electronics, right? You would think a store about nerdiness and computers would be at the forefront of internet culture. But they never really embraced like having a website, having a social media. And I don't think DC and all them, I don't think they embrace the mass media thing correctly. They don't. I don't think they do at all. And yeah, with the times. I remember when I worked there at Wildstorm, they were just starting out with digital comics. It was a concept they were going to come with DC Unlimited or whatever the hell it was going to be called. And I don't even think they do it anymore. And I don't think digital comics are the future. I think comics are going to be a niche thing, like what I'm doing, like more artisanal, man. And and there's always going to be a hunger for real paper comics, I think. Because it's a piece of art and you want to touch it. You don't want it to just be a file on your computer. But I don't think there'll ever be a boom. I think that time is past. I think if they had the opportunity they have had of the last 15 years to rule the world box office with their movies, and sales have only gone down. You would think with the Avengers movies and Iron Man and all this shit going on all the time, comic book sales would be at their best ever. They are like at their worst ever. Those companies are worse off than they've pretty much ever been. There was a crash after the boom, which there's always a crash, and Marvel declared bankruptcy in 1996. I don't know if you know that, but Marvel Comics got bought by the company they contracted to make their toys. Toy Biz bought Marvel like in 96, 97. I'm pretty sure that's how it went. And Deadpool's an LGBTQ hero now. He's gay? I didn't know that. I don't keep up with it. Here, see, Kara, this is why I like you. I never watched Deadpool, never will. I can't say raunchy comedy. I hate raunchy comedy. I hate it. I hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. Because it's bad for people. If you're an artist and you're making raunchy comedy, then you're poisoning people, and you should be ashamed of yourself. And I believe that fully. And I'll never back down from that. Deadpool is a piece of shit, and nobody should watch it. Nobody should. You should just. It's like looking in a toilet. Is that edifying for you? Just looking at shit? Is that what you're supposed to do with your life? And that's what watching stuff like Deadpool is to me. It's just trash. It's garbage. It isn't funny. Like dick jokes. How old are you? No, what bothers me so much about it, why? Because I know kids watch it. And it's so inappropriate for children. And that's what really bothers me about it. And, I think that's a common, and I don't care if it's popular or not, but that's a very popular sentiment. I mean, look what has happened to the left wing politically. They went for the kids with the story time hour and all the stuff and the gender confusion and all the crap and the hormones. They went for the kids, and now look at them reap the whirlwind politically. They're just destroyed. The Democrats have like 26% favorability and just dropping because that's just, war, international policy, tax policy, blah, blah, blah. You touch the kids, you're done. You're done. And that's, no one should have anything to do with you if you're like wanting to do weirdo stuff about kids. And that's how I see Deadpool. I know that kids get to watch it because of naive parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, or permissive ones. Like, I think it's funny. And, and then they let their kid watch something horrible like that. And it's just really, it's abusive to children, frankly, to watch something that dirty. And it really bothers me that I know tons of kids have seen it. And no, mine didn't see it, but, they were practically already adults when it came out. But as far as I know, they didn't see it. I wouldn't take them to it. And they don't do that. I don't see them trying to watch that stuff around the house or do things like that, and I just, like I was raised, I didn't raise them that way, that like filth was okay, so. But and I think just like do better, be a better artist, show more skill than that. Can you write? Like, do you actually know how to write? Do you actually know how to draw? Because to me, it's the most base thing. Like, hey guys, it's a sex joke. It's a raunchy sex joke. Everyone can do that. That requires no skill. All it requires to do that is just a lack of decency and a lack of class. That's all that requires. So. I don't know, because there's a trend nowadays that I don't understand. Now, I'm not a gamer, as I always say. I don't have time. I don't know how any adult would have time to play video games. I could dink around on my phone for 5 minutes on a little stupid little game. But I mean, like where gaming is your hobby, I don't know how you do that as an adult. And someone told me, well, Elon Musk plays games. Yeah. Well, when you land some rockets when you launch some rockets, then I'll listen to you being a big gamer as an adult. Until you have your own electric car company and a boring company, and you start PayPal and blah, 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 everything is done. Until you do that, I don't want to hear about you being a high-level gamer, okay, as an adult. I don't want to hear about that. But if you do all that, then have that. Vernon Hampton says, I think the world needs Superman. I know the world needs Superman. Wow. I boycotted comic book movies after the first Thor movie. I never liked them. I have always resented comic book movies as a comic book artist myself. And it's I could be wrong about this, but these are my honest feelings. My honest feelings about comic book movies are like, to the general public is like, hey, I've been here all along making this stuff. You don't need that. You need this. You need the thing that actually that made what you're watching. The thing that actually inspired what you love there. Yeah, I made it a long time ago with my buddies here through a lot of hard work and determination. I would say making a comic book technically is harder than making a movie. How many people can draw well? How many of the world population? How many people can draw well, right? Okay. So there you go. And I kind of just really resent it. It's like everything with Hollywood. Hollywood is just this vampire, this disgusting leech that comes in, wrings the blood out of everything, and then just leaves. And the comic book industry is much worse off for having gotten in bed with Hollywood the way it did with Marvel and all that. It's a net negative. If I could go back in time, I'd stop it from happening. We were good with comic books and cinema the original way, where it was one good one every decade. So in the 70s, you had the first Superman. In the 80s, you had the Michael Keaton Batman. And, you had a Ninja Turtle movie. Yeah, I mean, you just rarely had these movies, but, then they were an event and they were good. And to have this stuff with, at this point, how many movies does Marvel have? And they're just, comic books are about what I'm doing. They're about the illustration. They're the main thing about a comic book is that it is a drawn story. Movies are not drawn, right? They're filmed. Animated, but even animated isn't drawn. Those are totally different disciplines as an artist. It's a completely different discipline to animate and to illustrate. They really are. And speaking with authority here, it's a huge difference to animate and illustrate. So let's see. Leave the kids alone. What a concept. Yeah, well, they're finding out the tough way, right? They're finding out the tough way. Let's see. Let's see. If your target for U.S. history stories, maybe a kid's book with illustrations more appropriate instead of a comic. I would say if I was doing a history book, I like stuff that jumps time. So if you ever saw True Detective season 1, they and other stories like that, they jump from the present to the past to the going to the future. It's not in the future of the thing, but it's moving forward, and they'll kind of relate things. Maybe if you wanted to do something historical, you could have maybe not necessarily a descendant of Abraham Lincoln or something, but someone researching and this and that, and they're trying to solve a modern day problem. Here's how I would do it. You can have this idea for free because ideas are whatever. A modern day problem they're trying to solve, and they have to go back in their minds into history and go, founding principles, founding morals, founding culture has the solutions for us. Let's look at some things that happened in the past. And then you jump the story back there and you kind of tell that story. Then you tell the present day story, then the backstory, and you kind of weave them together like a zipper. And then they meet at the end. And you're like, that's the point of my story, that these morals that we were founded on are good. That's how I'd do it. That'd be fun. I'll probably do one like that. You see, but see, that's the talent of writing. I made that up just now. I made that up as I said it extemporaneously. So Courtney's Fellowship of Oddballs. Hey, everyone. Jim Bob says, I saw Don Bluth at MegaCon a couple years ago, and he said that he considers 3D animation to be digital puppetry and not true animation. As a filmmaker and animator, I kind of agree. I would definitely say that 3D animation is not 2D animation. Now, I wish if I could go back, I wouldn't get a visual arts degree. Had to add more but there. I would not get a visual arts degree like in illustration. Like I would go back and get an animation degree, because I've worked with so many hundreds of artists working from DC and Marvel and all this. And what I found consistently is the guys that learned animation are the absolute best comic book artists. Not even close. Like the mental acuity for storytelling that animators have versus people who just learn to illustrate in 2D. It's like Godzilla versus, a cockroach. It's not close. And I wish, well, maybe maybe I'm exaggerating. It's a little hyperbolic. The guys that are just regular 2D, they're great too. But man, the stuff I'm learning working with my buddy who's a former Disney animator and all that, like a big time animator, it's mind blowing to me. And guys, I've been doing this for, 30 something years. And the way that animators think, it's next level. It's awesome stuff. So if I could go back, that's what I'd go back and learn, is animation. I was telling my wife, maybe in the future, I could take some animation classes, just like take a year of animation, because it'll help you so much with your storytelling, and because in comics, the whole point is I choose a moment of action. I choose a moment in the story, and then I choose like a freeze frame, a literal one frame of the movie. I have to choose the exact right one to get my point across to you. Like we said about Shakespeare, brevity being the soul of wit. I have to choose the exact moment, and then I have to execute it. And I've never seen anyone do that better than animators. And think about what animators do. They draw that, here's the ball, and 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 then it hits and it flattens, right? That whole squat. And look at all those moments they're picking, right? They're just picking all those moments. And that's why when you're drawing a comic and you have to pick the moment to draw, that's why the animation guys just kick ass on that. Nate's memes, what's good, Gabe? Oh, just having a great day. Just another day in paradise, just working on my Tyrus comic. Let me show you the page I did yesterday. Here it is, by the way. Look at all these juicy pages of Tyrus here. Oh yeah, baby. We're up to page 69 almost is done. Look at this. No context here. Look at how great that is. If you love Ninja Turtles and mutant animals, you're gonna freaking love this book. Tyrus taking on a bunch of half man, half animal weirdos. Here's a little action. Hold on, I'll show you some action. We got some great action in here. Here he is fighting for his life against this mountain lion guy who's planning on putting that knife through his neck. Yeah, I inked this one up last week. I love using these tones, these zipatone kind of thing. If you look real close, these dots, I made this dot pattern myself. So I'll show you that real quick. So I have that saved right here. So I save stuff I reuse. Like it says Nebraska Kearney on his shirt throughout this scene. So I saved that Nebraska. But I have a file right here called tones, and it's just a page of this stuff. And I copy the whole thing. Oh, watch. I'll copy this and paste it in. I'll show you. Copy. And then I'll go to the current page I'm working on. I'll just blob it in just somewhere. And then I'll paste it. Paste. So now we have that over the whole page, that dot thing. And then I could just cut it out with a shape like that. And then cut and paste. So then I would delete that whole layer. And then see, so you can just have pieces of that. And that's why I made it as big as the entire page so I could cut out what I wanted. And in real life, I own a clear film. It feels like Scotch tape. And it has dots on it. And there's different kinds that fade from light to dark. Some have flowers and trees. And they use them in the Japanese comic book tradition, manga. And there's a company called Deleter. And they say, and I have some of it. And you can do it by hand. You cut it with a razor blade and you rub it on there real good and it sticks. The only problem with it is after a few years, it turns yellow from the acid and the glue and this and that and the other. So I'm doing a digital version of that. And that's kind of fun. So I'd like to learn animation, but he has the attention span of a squirrel. Well, undo that. Quit scrolling your phone all day. That's hurting you. The most important part of animation for many animators is the principle of appeal. The motion must be technically accurate, but must be appealing above all else. Yeah, appeal is understanding how to get things right, understanding what to pick. That's where the appeal is coming from. Let's see. Zipatone. Yeah, that's a brand name. Tires versus furries. I'm down. Yeah. Yeah, I know Tyrus personally. He's a friend of mine. And yeah, I think he would he'd do good against these nefarious critters. So I'm trying to get this book done by my part, the illustration. I'm hiring someone else to color it because I got to move on to some other stuff. I'm trying to get the illustrations done by the end of May. It might go into June, but whatever. It's all right. As long as you don't take money from people up front for the crowdfund and then be late, I'm fine with extending my own deadline. Because I can extend my own deadline indefinitely as long as I haven't taken a penny from anyone. Once I take a penny for the crowdfunding from people and I say, hey, this book is coming at Christmas, it's coming at Christmas, hell or high water. That's what I believe. That's my philosophy on that. I don't think it's right to use crowdfunding people, the trust people give you the money, to indulge myself and go, oh, well, maybe I'll do this and maybe I'll take longer doing that. And that's not okay. But I can take as long as I want, as long as I have not yet crowdfunded. To me, the other way would be quite immoral, quite wrong, and quite disrespectful, frankly. Quite disrespectful to the audience to take their money and go, yeah, the spring, and then it's like it's not spring. So we're planning on May, but it may not. It may not be May. Let's see. I believe that artists deserve more credit for film adaptations. Yeah, that's part of the reason I'm an independent artist. That'd be a big part of the reason I'm doing this independently, is because I got to go to the Aquaman premiere in Hollywood. That was fun. But I also made the Aquaman comics that were leading up to that movie. And I think I did like 24 issues in a year. We were doing 2 a month. That was Rebirth, DC Comics Rebirth event. I think I did 24 issues in a year. I did the math once, and I made like $80,000 just from Aquaman in 1 year working on it. It was a ton of work, though. Ton of work. A lot of money, but it was well more than a full-time job. And the movie made 1.3 billion. And there were certain panels and scenes and shots right out of the first few issues I did with my buddy Philippe, the French guy, the Disney animator. He was illustrating and I was coloring. And there were literal panels that we had done that were in the movie. There's a part where that big final battle, and there's this like dinosaur-looking beast, and someone's riding, and its mouth opens right into the camera. There was a sequence with the Black Manta and the submarines. There was it's not Blake Lively, Amber Heard powering up and her eyes turning all, and it's right out of the comic. And I remember James Wan, the director, he posted on Instagram, hey, day one of filming, and he had the graphic novel with my cover that I did with Brad Walker. And I know they reference our art. So I put a big PDF together and I sent it to talent relations at Warner Brothers. I said, hey, I want royalties on this. I would like a check. And they evaluated and talked to some attorneys and said no. Now, you'll notice I said talk to some attorneys. What do you think the attorneys told them? They didn't say, should you do this or not? I think they probably told them, and this is me making this up, just assuming things, don't know this. They probably just said, you don't have to do this. This guy can't sue you. He doesn't have enough to sue you here. So I took it as pretty insulting, and to be fair to them, we never signed anything that said I would get royalties for the DC stuff, but it definitely was our work for sure. So, let's see. Can't stand the way to turn Aquaman dollar store Poseidon. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I don't follow Marvel or DC Comics. I have no idea what they're doing, what they're up to. I occasionally hear that DC Comics does something rather woke and embarrassing. That's about the extent of what I know about them. And I feel not anger, but I feel like frustration and why are you doing this? Like the DEI, SJW garbage doesn't work. Why are you tripling down on it? Stop. But whatever, it's not my company. What is that dumb saying that's been going around lately? Not my monkeys, not my circus. I hate stuff like that because as a comedian myself, I don't like it because it's not original. I know we all tell jokes we hear, fine. But there's just some that are just horrific. Like I just threw him up in my mouth a little bit. That's got to be the worst one, That's the worst one of the street jokes, is what I would call it. A joke everyone knows, a joke everyone hears. I hate that one. Find it just cringy, irritating. So it's a big boy walking in the cave with her. But yeah, we're oh my god, it's already 12 o'clock. Guys, I gotta go. Man, that went by fast. Guys, tomorrow night, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Pacific. Miss Doubtfire. I have no idea if I'm going to like this thing or not. Jericho and I doing improv comedy on Double Impact right here on this channel. Thursday morning, we'll be back 11 to noon. Friday, I will not be here. I will be indisposed. I have other plans on Friday morning, so it'll be no live. But Thursday will be 11 to noon. Tomorrow night, 7 to whenever we get crazy on Wednesday nights. Go to bigmancomics.com. Get Dean Cain, All-American Lawman, Volume 1 right now. You haven't read it yet. You don't own it. What's your problem? Go get it. And we got some great stuff coming. We do. We got Empyrean. We got the Unstoppable Tyrus. I got a military thriller. I got all kinds of great stuff coming. All right, guys, hit the like, hit the share. I need your help. Grow this channel, grow the viewership. We have good, great, fun people coming in here. Great conversation. Love talking to you guys. I want to know more and more about you. I need you guys to grow this channel, and you can have the satisfaction and pride that you're a part of this, that you're making this happen. That you're building a great community here, and you guys are going to have a lot of fun. So do that for me today. Take your finger out of your nose. Hit the like right now. We're not leaving till you do this, class. Out of the nose, onto the like, onto the share. Just share it. Tell people about it. Tell people it's a fun time. You got a guy who's pretty insightful about art and writing and all that, and has a lot of experience and loves talking to you guys. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye bye. Share it out. Bye.